I know that, please don't do me like that. Find a way. But I know, like, if he doesn't let go in about 2 seconds, like, I don't know what's going to happen. So please make sure that they know I love them and make it, and I was thinking all these things in my head, y'all. That's how crazy it is. In a matter of what, 30 seconds to a minute tops. I was like, I love you, Mom. Because I couldn't say it out loud. I was completely restricted. Like, it was scary as fuck. So, yeah, it was, recovering from that alone was enough. Was more than enough. And then I thought I did meet my person. It was like, we were so good together. And then all of a sudden everything started to change and feel sadistic because of the energies that were around him. And he was very generous, very kind. He wasn't innocent though. And he did have his materialistic struggle, because like he was around the wrong influences, and she knew that it's like, how certain men get when they don't have money. There's certain men out here that associate their value in this world with how they can provide, right? And if you know what I mean, and that's absolutely not how it should be. But a lot of men struggle with that, and if they feel like they can't provide, or they're going to be in a rough spot, like sometimes they consider certain things that they shouldn't because they lack faith. I had all the faith. I couldn't tell my person that I was psychic and just trust me, everything's gonna be fine. How do you think I knew that everything was gonna be fine with this and that, and but I just, like, I was so confident, and it's like, at first he loved that. He felt so safe, right? And it's just, if you would have just kept that going, we would have gotten so far. We probably still would have been together. If I wouldn't be surprised if he's been set up by now or something. God only knows. But anyway, there's nothing I could do. I had to also get, so all at once I was getting over that, and I was proactive. I was going to group therapy, one-on-one therapy. I was listening to audiobooks like religiously, because I'm the type of person that I have to feel safe. If I can't feel safe, I can't be creative. If I can't be creative, I don't know who I am, right? Like, so it was a process, and I wanted to do it as fast as I could. I also was trying to spend time with my person, but I couldn't sleep either. And so it was like I was Superwoman while trying to heal. And then all of a sudden, I was, every time I started to make strides, all of a sudden, and because I wasn't fully myself, y'all, I wasn't as strong or as quick to detect red flags or the boundaries, especially because it was like everyone against me. And I didn't want people to think that I was like being unreasonable. I wanted to give people the benefit of the doubt, right? I did. But I was like, they took advantage of the fact. And in fact, I was bullied while I was healing from that. I was being called a compulsive victim just for reminding them, why are you guys treating me with this energy? Did Shane not tell you that I was like strangled almost to death? Like, just a friendly reminder. Can you guys like stop being so hostile with me, or like just tell me what the real problem is here? Because I'm very proactive. I'm doing all the right things. What am I not doing? What am I missing? Why do you want me and him to break up? Why are you so quick to not mediate and help when we get into a disagreement, which is all of a sudden escalated into an argument anytime he talks to you guys, it seems. So what's up with that? And they would just further project and gaslight me as if I was the problem, trying to convince me that I didn't know what I was talking about, or I didn't know what I was feeling. Because see, he dated these people, y'all, and with them he ended up being non-committal. It wasn't the same. Our relationship and that side of him, they didn't get that. And so it was very hard because they all knew him as one way, and they were all narcissistic. They didn't even have the capacity to feel like I did. They didn't have the abilities that I did. That's why they wanted to steal them, okay? They surprised, though, they didn't know I was psychic. That's the one. I play a little bit dumber than I am, actually quite a bit, because I noticed that I've been, my whole life. If you're a starseed, y'all, no matter what you do, it's like you've probably dealt with a lot of experiences where it's like you have to really be careful. Why are they being nice to me? Like, why do they want to talk to me? Is it because they really are inspired by me, or is it because they're just being kissing up to me to get what I have somehow, or like they don't really want to be my friend, they just want to learn so they can get or take what I have. And it's so sad to have to think that way, because I don't think that way, but I know it's a real thing. And me making the mistake of not thinking that way has greatly affected my path. So I forced myself to be mindful. And because these were people that he considered family, and I would be so mean to just jump to those conclusions, right? Like that would be so mean to just like immediately jump to no, they're trying to da. No, you wouldn't do that right away. You would, that would be the farthest possibility from your mind, unless you were a fucked up person, which I was not. I was a very deep feeling person. They were not. They were pretend fake kindness masks, like to a sick degree, to the point where one of them I couldn't detect at first, but that's only because I didn't spend time with her. Meanwhile, they were telling everybody about who I was and the intention behind my actions, and I hadn't even spent 10 minutes alone with these people. But they knew everything about me, apparently. And apparently their feedback about me and comparing me to their crazy exes and projecting all these things onto me and finally getting a reaction out of me because I care so much and I'm concerned. Why would you think that of me? Why would you assume that of me? I was so concerned and so sensitive that I would start crying or something. And then they would, again, more projections, more bullying. And I was like, there's no way that people are this old and they're this sadistic and they're still bullying people like this. You've got to be kidding me. These are the stories like I've heard about, or like they've made shows or episodes on stuff like this, and it's like it feels like that doesn't really happen in the world, but it does. But to really dwell on that and to think that it would ever happen to you is like, there's no way that, like, it's just, you think it's so rare, like it's so alien, because I couldn't even do it unless somebody would, like, directly physically was trying to hurt my family or my dog, okay? And it's like, unless somebody was directly endangering my family's lives and my own, I could never picture myself, like, I would throw up. I think I would there's no way I'd be able to sit back and watch somebody get tortured, blow over and over and over again, and like there'd be intervals, everything would be going okay, everything's fine now, and then all of a sudden the energy would come back and they would just get a kick out of it, dude, and I would be left in confusion and be distraught, and it was so fucked up because I would go to them, my abusers that I didn't understand yet what they were doing and how sadistic it was, looking to them for clarity, because those were his family, those were his people. Do you know him better than I do? What's going on here? I love him so much, and what's happening here? And what they were telling me didn't make sense to me, because that's not how it was when we were together. Oh, Elle, he's just polyamorous, hon. I don't know what to tell you, but you have to accept him for who he is and stop trying to force him to change. I'm like, excuse me? What? What do you mean? I don't force people to do anything. I am a warrior for every kind of freedom. There's no way in hell I'd ever force somebody to be with me. That's why I was like, why would he leave like this? It's not that he left. Anyone can leave. I would never want somebody to stay if they didn't want to. Why would he do it this way, though? It was evil. It was meant to, because I needed therapy for a year, y'all. Like, that's very extensive therapy just to feel okay, and I barely went outside since. So, and that's a healthy person. That's somebody that is proactive and has a creative outlet and keeps going, keeps trying. So all of that was going on, y'all. I was recovering from the prior attack. I was recovering from being bullied over and over again, and always being the only one. And I never stopped standing up for myself, even as I finally ended up in the hospital with a high heart rate, and it was starting to affect my health. And I started to think, oh my God, like, is my partner, like, is he psycho or something? Is he living a double life? Like, who is it? Is it her? Is it my own part? So I started feeling very unsafe. I started questioning everything and everyone, all while trying to still regulate my nervous system. But it was so hard for me to feel safe. I was always high strung. And he wanted me to, go to sleep with him at night and cuddle, and I couldn't sleep. He wanted to spend more time, but I would have to just to like be calm, be in the bath for 3 hours so that I can hear my thoughts. Or he wanted to watch a movie and I literally couldn't sit still. I'd rather be like busy bee doing something. Oh no, the dishes need to be done. I'll come back. Like, you can start it. I can hear it from here. Or I'd rather listen to an audiobook because I wanted to heal as fast as possible. And I was like, why am I not healing fast enough? I don't want to have to constantly be doing this. Like, why can't I just feel like me again, right? Because that's not how it works. And I was the most proactive person ever. Okay, I was doing everything that I could think of, and so that I could show up better as a partner for my person, because I know he wanted more attention. I wanted to spend more time with him, but not as the damage trying to heal me. Because if he knew the contrast, because I was showing up kind of reckless, like with my spending. That was one of my weird PTSD trauma responses. Thank God it wasn't anything worse, because it could be way worse. You could turn to drugs, you could turn to recklessness, because that's real trauma and that would be justified. But my weird trauma response was shopping on Amazon. Like, literally, I don't know why I was doing it. I know I needed to stop doing it, and it was crazy. I would buy things, then I would lose like 20 pounds within that month, return it all, downsize to the next size down. And it was like constant returns and like boxes everywhere. And it was ridiculous. It really was. Yeah. But I also didn't know how to stop or why I kept doing it, but because it made me feel better. And my therapist explained it. But then I started getting micromanaged for that. Even though it was my money I was spending, I was getting micromanaged. And I was like, wait a minute. So you were reckless with your money for most of your life because you actually did party and do all that stuff like normal kids do and normal people do. I didn't have that phase. I like became truant, and I was always doing music. So I didn't do the whole party phase until like almost 30 years old. All right. So if the 1 year that I'm not responsible and I have a little bit of a shopping splurge issue with my own money because of a trauma response, when you got to do that, like, you only just the last 5 years started being responsible. Meanwhile, I was responsible since I was 15 with all my 4 publishing deals. I don't really feel like I should be micromanaged by you, but just know that I am concerned about it. I don't want to be a shopping addict, okay? And I do feel like I don't know why I'm doing it, but I'm returning items as much as I can. But it was a weird, odd response. So was the fact that I didn't want to watch TV. I couldn't watch TV. I couldn't sit through it. I like, my focus wouldn't last long. I'd be in my head thinking and listening to my thoughts. And I didn't realize that I was getting ascension symptoms with my psychic abilities at the same time. It was crazy. So much was going on. So then I met him, and it's like it was like, I think he was a catalyst twin, y'all. And sadly, if he would have been around better people, we definitely were soulmates at the very least. But I think that according to our charts even and everything, it was definitely we were meant to cross paths. But oh my God, did it bring me so much pain. And I didn't know if I was going to make it. But it's what made me start this channel, so I wouldn't be talking to you right now. So it was all meant to happen. It was one hell of a divine intervention, and God saved me. He said, oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Will these people do what they're trying to do? I'm going to send her the vision she needs, where to look, how to protect herself, because I was alone, isolated, and I had no motivation to even barely move. I was like frozen in my body, trying to make sense of everything. And I didn't have it in me to even like make decisions, and that's what it's meant to do. It affects the part of your brain. It like it swells, or it to where you can't think. You're in a brain fog because you just got jilted with like so much, a blast of trauma at once. And that's what they do, it on purpose like that. They purposely attack innocent people because we grow up in a world being taught that it's bad people that get punished, right? You know what I mean? And that's how it should be. But that's how sadistic it was, is that I was getting punished for being good and doing all the right things. So it was like a brainwashing mindfuck experience, purposefully, with my empathic heart trying to not believe that what I was feeling could ever even remotely be a possibility. There's no fucking way that anyone's that evil, let alone to somebody like me. There's no way. I've never experienced this before. And I didn't do anything to them. And I would think over and over again, wait a minute. Could somebody have maybe pretended to be me and like thought they were talking to me or something, and then maybe I did do something justifiable to be like ganged up on or something? Like there's details that I'm missing here. And so I prayed my heart out, y'all. I was like, yo, you guys, please get me through this, because I'm not going to be able to. I'm going to give it to you. Guide me, get me there, help me get through this and get back to who I was, because I don't know how to do it, because I was doing it alone, and I was having to be in survivor mode at the same time. They were hoping I would go homeless. They set it up this way, y'all. Even though he was paying half of the rent on the rest of the lease, which is cool, but he knew I got paid weirdly. So, like, it was going to be rough, right? Because I was living in a house that was like $3,000 a month plus like another like 1,000 for electric and all this stuff. And I had 3 senior dogs at the same time, one of which sadly I had to also grieve during this whole experience. Like, it was one thing after the other. Imagine severe traumas with no clarity. So you have to know that, like, if like spirituality, if anyone ever like, it is because of these abilities and my visions, my clairaudience, hearing bits of conversations in rooms that I was nowhere near, hearing laughed, oh my God, and it confirmed my suspicions. They were real. I wasn't hallucinating. And I was like, and I made sure, I was like, dude, am I having like, did they do me in mentally? Am I hearing things now, or is this what I think it is? Because I heard their voices and stuff, and I heard what they like. And so then I start getting visions, and I was like, oh my God, it's real. You're actually answering my prayers. You're sending me the info I need. These are visions, maybe in real time or in advance, and it wasn't my imagination, because I can separate the two. I know when I'm creating things in my imagination and exploring versus things that I'm not creating showing up in my head all of a sudden. Do you know what I mean? And you gotta be real. It's hard to, like, there's a lot of people that are, schizophrenic or ungrounded or whatever. And it's easy, if you can't stay grounded, it would be an easy threshold to go off into space a bit, right? Especially when you're dealing with your nervous system, oh my God, and like being attacked and traumatized over and over again, and nobody's giving you clarity, and they're attacking your reality testing. But that's why knowledge is power, y'all. I studied like I was possessed. Cluster B personalities, because I was like, it's one of these. I don't know which. I'm hoping it's not full-blown psychopathic. Maybe one of them are. I know that there's a sociopath in the mix, and all of them are narcissists. And I think that my person has been so abused that he himself, too, has also become a shell and very narcissistic, because it's been normalized. He doesn't know anything else. So not giving clarity or having direct communication about, hey, we're breaking up now, and no, I'm not going to show up, and I'm about to block my phone, you're not going to be able to reach me, is not a convo that would be had. In fact, I was getting stonewalled, and I was calm. I'd be like, hey, so listen, I don't, all I need is everything's going to be fine, or your whole life is about to be uprooted. Okay? That's all I need from you. I just want to know what's about to happen, because that's what it felt like. I've been conditioned. I've been trained to know when something's about to happen. So I need you to tell me so I can Because if you leave without telling me what I'm about to go through, you're putting me in danger. And I was diagnosed with severe PTSD. I had CPTSD, and after getting attacked, I had severe PTSD. People could not walk behind me, or I'd get startled. I couldn't, it was real. And I mean, you'd have to be evil, right? To not, it's like, okay, you know she has a real diagnosis. You know what she went through. Why wouldn't you tell her what was about to happen, especially when she's calm and just trying to know what's about to happen? She's not paranoid. I would feel worried too if I was asking her questions after talking to my ex-wife who just proposed an illegal con or whatever the fuck it is on how to get quick money, and all of a sudden my partner's behavior changed and she was stonewalling me when I was asking her questions, and I could tell that they were in their head. Yeah, that would worry me too. Maybe I should tell my partner, no, everything's gonna be fine, I'm not gonna leave. No. Instead, he just stared at me in silence, saying, I'm sorry, I can't think right now, brain fog. And I'm like, brain fog? Why are you stonewalling me? He's like, I'm not. I just can't think right now. And then I was like, I've heard that before, brain fog. That's a narcissistic abuse reaction. And see, sociopaths are very aware of the dark psychology tactics that they use. They're intentional. They study them. They expand on them. They love them. They find it fascinating and fun, right? And they actually get a kick out of getting like the amount of abuse that my person had to have been through. It was like a horror movie, like, you know. Like, it was actually, because it was so scary experiencing it and knowing how many layers, like, you had to really think outside of yourself as, like, somebody with no empathy, which is really hard to do, right? Because you're not wired that way. Hopefully not. So, like, how would life be if you were a person and you took the empathy out of your body? So now I had to, like, force my brain to imagine that. And because imagination comes from empathy and compassion, it was so hard for me to do. So I was like, okay, I'm going to need to study as well, because I don't know. This is so foreign. It's not human-like. It's evil. This is demonic. This is like satanic type stuff. This is sadistic, because anybody who could enjoy doing this, because they see everything as a game and how to control, manipulate, and win the game at all costs. They have to manipulate everybody like a marionette. The puppet master. And it's usually the quiet one that you don't expect. They get everybody else they create chaos. And it's like they watch as the chaos travels and ensues, and they watch as, like, they do the work for them without ever having to, like, claim planting the seeds, because they make people think that it was their idea to stumble on that perspective when really they were being manipulated. It's like next level. Okay? And it took so much studying. And it saved my life, and I'm hoping it saves many others, and that's why I'm sharing this story, because it's so horror flick, like, so foreign, that if you didn't have the willpower that I had, and I don't know where it came from, it wasn't just for me, it was definitely the Most High as well, and my angels and my fans, me being guided to start this channel, me waking up to my psychic ability. Like, I'm talking, I went from, like, extremely intuitive to, like, having full-blown visions, and I was like, could this be a trauma response? Because I feel like anything could be possible at this point with what I'm going through. Like, maybe I'm losing it a little bit, but no. No, because then it got clearer and clearer, and oh my God, if I told him, if I ever get to sit down with him, and he wakes up from the Matrix, and I told him the things I know that there's no way I would know, because I wasn't in the room, his face would go pale white, because he would have to relive those moments and remember that he allowed it to happen and believed them while it was never true. And instead of giving me the benefit of the doubt and believing the far-fetched idea that, oh my God, my very accomplished girlfriend that never had any of these issues before this is in danger, and she was telling me in any way she could think of, and I just like, I didn't even really consider it, but like she stuck to it. She never ever like let go of her narrative because it was her truth and she was scared. But because it's sad, because I was so open and so honest about what I had been through, they would use everything against me. So me telling them that I had been attacked and reminding them to have some empathy for me actually worked against me. It gave them more ammunition to say, yes, she's unstable. She's unstable. Okay? And like, why was she around a drug addict? Like, she's unstable. She's, you know, she's not good. Like, she's drama. Like, she's trying to force you to be somebody that you're not. No, you guys are just trying to keep him in a lower vibration so you can keep him manipulatable, so that you can run your cons or whatever the fuck you're trying to do with him. Land him in prison for 15 years or whatever the fuck you're doing. And honestly, I have a theory that you're still married and you get benefits because he's ex-military, and that's why you don't want him to move on and, you know, vibrate higher. Of course you're going to be like, oh, she's just judgmental and she's not open-minded to polyamory and she's a codependent. Excuse me? Says the gold digger that, like, took all my money and everything I have. I don't go to men and, you know, diddle myself on the camera. Half of the men being married to have what I have. I don't go to the bar searching for people to pay for my drinks. I don't. In fact, before my ex, I the reason I'm so successful and career oriented is because I spend so much time alone. In fact, I prefer it because I can protect my creativity and I can focus. I'm ADD as well, y'all. I'm on the spectrum. I fixate. That's my superpower. It's also like eccentric to people that don't understand it, and they might think I'm a little weird. Well, why isn't she social? Why doesn't she need external validation? Well, why is she famous? Why did she go after the music? Bitch, you can't imagine because you don't have an imagination because you're a sociopath. You're missing empathy. But if you had that, you'd realize that I don't do it for the fame. In fact, I'm uncomfortable. I do it because I love what I do. I like had to do it. Like I had to eat. But they couldn't. That's okay. If you're ever in a situation like this, y'all, that's one thing that's an advantage. Always remember, their mind is very restricted. They don't have imagination, so they can't imagine past the things of the ego. It's people that are cluster B, y'all. They think, what can I get out of this? How can I use this person to get something out of it? They think out of the lens of the ego, right? Which doesn't have empathy. That doesn't think for anyone other than self. And when you're a personality disorder like sociopath or a narcissist or antisocial personality disorder, you don't view people, like you don't have empathy to consider their emotional experience, nor do you care. It's all about what you can get, how you can use people, how you can manipulate. They don't know how to do anything else. Like, they don't care. They just want to climb get what they can get out of people, right? And they also don't abide by the same rules because they think they can get away with everything. They think they're smarter than everybody else because they are pretty fucking fucked up and sadistic and smart. It's not that they're smarter than everybody else. It's that people with even basic fundamental emotional intelligence and empathy, they can't. It's cringe to force yourself to try to imagine how they think. And because you don't know that people could think that way and actually even get a thrill out of it, because it makes you want to give up on humanity when you even attempt to. So, like to have that moment where you realize, oh my God, like I'm around, like people, like they say what 1 to 5% of the population is narcissists, sociopaths, psychopaths. Do you know how many people that is when there's 8 billion people in the world, y'all? And to realize that you're walking amongst that many people that are that sadistic, when it really sinks in and it hits you just how evil. I'm talking like this, the type of evil that you didn't do anything to this person, but they decided that they want what you have, but they think they deserve it more than you. Because they think they're better than everybody else. They think they're smarter than everybody else. They think they can manipulate anyone, and they are entitled. They are so entitled. They're delusional and entitled, and they don't have empathy. And they think it's a game and it's a win when they can, and they'll do anything at all costs. It doesn't matter how much it damages you or any of that. So to them, it's like if they were to plan out a con on how to manipulate a person, believing and amping up their delusional ego. No, I can do it. I can do it. Watch. Give me like 3 months. I'm going to come up with a foolproof plan. And by September, I'm going to watch me have everything. And them questioning their sanity with a smile on their face. Picture that kind of person. You don't want to. It's scary. It's very uncomfortable. It's like you don't even want to believe it in a world like that. But sadly, it's real, and like they actually get a kick out of watching you slowly unravel over months of just constant energetic blows, attacks, without you knowing. It's all covert, without you knowing, nobody telling you, you putting too much fear into my partner to tell me the truth about how his friends are constantly trying to get him to break up with me, but convincing him that the reason why is because I'm all the things that I'm not, but they somehow distort my actions because the intention behind them is nothing like what they would say. But you can, basically my point is the intention behind somebody's action can be completely different, but it can present similarly. Okay, and that's another mind fuck that they're really good at. It's like, if I act unstable, like if I act concerned and all of a sudden I'm having PTSD, right? Because they pressed every trigger over the period of 3 hours, and my person is still not telling me what's going on, and I feel it, and I don't know what to do with it anymore, and I'm fighting and PTSD, and I've verbalized it. I've done everything I can to prevent it, and now I don't know what to do because I feel it. I feel it coming on. I'm starting to get like unable to control the fear because I know something's about to happen, but I'm being stonewalled out of nowhere. Okay, and it's like eerie because it's like just, it was so weird. It was almost like he was possessed. I feel like she was doing the kind of dark psychology that makes you disassociate, because his eyes would change sometimes, y'all. Which tells me that he's been through some shit, y'all. Okay, for real. Because that's not, you can't do that on command. That happens, your body does that for you, and you're not there when it you might not even remember it. But it's very dangerous. Because it's like, and so that tells me how much fear they were putting into him, projecting onto me. Like I was dangerous, literally. And it started making me literally unstable. Like I actually started questioning, do I want to stay here to be traumatized? Because I thought I just went through this. I thought I met my person. We were happy, but what's happening? What's happening? Like I don't feel safe. The light is going out. I can't find the light. I always find the light. But I would say these things too. It's almost like it should be a movie. And what's crazy is, like, it's spiritual too. Like the problem with narcissism is they don't go for the heart, y'all. You can break your heart 100 times. They want to break your soul. They want to break your spirit, your will, to even think that there's a point to try, to think that it's even, they want to break your motivation. They want to make you into a shell, a puppet. They want to be able to modify your desires so that they can tell you how to get things from, like, turn you into an ego puppet. And that's just not possible with me. But once your spirit's broken, you are open to dark energies like you wouldn't believe. You're in danger. It's crisis mode. So you cannot ever stay in any environment where it feels way, way more dangerous than heartbreak, y'all. Like, so if there's anything you can learn from the story, and that's why, this is a long vent, but like for real, because it could save lives, because, I considered in multiple moments that maybe I, like, it's really sad. That's how fucked up. But it was meant to do that. These are tactics that they use on prisoners in war and stuff. Like, so I did really well. I'm actually very proud of myself. You know what I mean? I had those thoughts, and I still kept believing without any reason to. In fact, I was being tortured. Why would I believe? I keep getting slammed over and over, and I don't know why. I don't know. I think I'm cursed, or like, it was just stuff. I was like, none of it makes sense. I don't know what to do anymore. Like, I'm doing everything right. I'm going to therapy. I'm doing this, but then everything's beautiful. It's fine. But then all of a sudden, and I feel it too, even before it happens. The smallest energy shift, like, he won't even say anything, and I'll just feel the presence of one of their energies there switch, almost like, and it was almost like he was a vest. Like, you guys, this sounds crazy, but I almost feel like she knew how to like switch it off, because his eyes would change, yo. It was fucking scary. It was like he was. And it got to the point where I was like, no, I can't have sex with you. I don't feel safe. I'm sorry. Don't be surprised if I don't let that happen for like a month. I have to know that you're not going to switch, because it's like people don't switch on and off like a switch. But I knew that it was like, there's no way he was doing it intentionally. Because his eyes would change, which means disassociation, like severe disassociation, like, which is caused by severe fear. It's a severe trauma response that's not, you don't decide to do it. It's something that your brain does when it goes into panic mode. So he actually was that afraid of me, and he actually did think that the chaos was coming from me, but at the same time he was also being manipulated in his ego, which didn't have empathy for me. He was more focused on the opportunities that he was being presented more than worrying about me, but they set it up that way. So it's like, no, he's not innocent, but because that's the thing. When you're high priestess, y'all, you could be getting abused and still separately and simultaneously know that your person is also being abused. And you could be aware that they are intentionally manipulating you to an extent, but that they are unaware that they're not getting manipulated to the extent that they're aware that they're even getting manipulated at all. And so here you are as the high priestess, seeing it all, and just how fucked up and how detail oriented, how organized it actually is. And you're seeing it all, and you can't say anything. That's why a lot of high priestesses, they're quiet. It's hidden knowledge. It's like in the shadow energy, because what the high priestess knows, others will not understand. You can't just tell people things. They're going to think you're crazy. They don't have your ability. So what you know, you could say, let's just say, I told him a couple things, right? And I knew to be light with that, because I knew that there was a possibility that everything I said was at some point being repeated. But there were a couple things I warned him about. And I almost can guarantee that if I ever speak to him again. And that was another thing. I was like, please, God, please be alive by the time he wakes up from the Matrix. It was so terrible, y'all. I was having to just let go of control, knowing he was heading towards sociopathic people that don't care about protecting his freedoms, and they just want to make money, and they want to... That's what I had to know that he was going towards. I also had to know that he was going towards his ex. It's like, free, open sensuality, prostitute energy, like free love, and like to the point. But it was really just a symptom of not loving herself and some trauma she went through in her past. But I was being projected onto that I was a codependent, because I actually did love him and want to pour. He was enough for me. But it was so distorted that any concern that I'd show, or even the smallest emotional reassurance that I'd ask for, just let me know what's going on, because I know something's about to happen. I'm calm. Please. I have PTSD. I'm trying to prevent it. And it was so stoic. It was just like this. It was like I was like an angel in every situation. I handled it to the best of my ability, and still everything I did was distorted, y'all. Imagine how like walking on eggshells that is. And that's what, if you ever feel like you're walking on eggshells, it's very, very likely that you are around an evil human being. You're not crazy. It's meant to make you feel crazy because it's alien-like. It's not human-like. They don't have empathy, which you have to wonder, are you human? Are you human then? Or are you just a flesh suit and a demon? Because without empathy, how do you don't have a soul. You're an empty, black abyss with no identity. You're a shapeshifter. And that's scary as shit. Because if they would do this to me, who didn't do anything to them, just because they wanted to take what I had, what would they do to somebody who they think actually did slight them? My God. These people probably have killed people before. Literally, holy shit, like that. And I'm just casually, like, he's just casually considering these people as family. Meanwhile, they're literally going in through him, through his parents even, through, like, my network, coming into my network, pretending to be, I mean, they did it all, dude. I don't even know how they had the time to do it all. It was crazy. It was like a whole operation. And it sounded insane. And I couldn't say, I had to keep it so oppressed and inside, and that's how they set it up. But what they don't understand is they thought I was autistic, so they thought that they could predict everything about me. I'm not just autistic. That's the thing. And my one advantage was that I am, like, what maybe one might consider like emotionally intelligent wise, like, you know, I don't like using terms like savant and stuff like that, but because of my emotional intelligence, because this is how much I care. It's a passion to understand people. And so anything I didn't understand, and because I'm a messenger, I'm like that person that wants to provide you a song to lean on of the feelings that you don't know how to express. Like, that's what I do. So if there was ever like moments when I was engaging with people and I could tell they were struggling to articulate what they were trying to convey to me, I would not only ask questions and dig and help them get there, but I'd imagine, you know, I would write songs of things that I had never been through before, but I'd like, you know, it's like a travel machine. It's like I could close my eyes and like travel anywhere and become and feel anyone in any situation, like, and then I, you know, would make a song that's 4 minutes long, and it's like I traveled to the other side of the world in someone else's shoes, and I wrote from their perspective. And so it's, sorry, yeah, I'm getting a little bit emotional about it, but that's the one thing that I had that was an advantage, is they assumed, because they're so linear and so disgusting, that they thought that they knew my intentions behind my actions, because they weaponized emotions and manipulated. They thought that they could convince people the intentions behind the same actions, that they were the same intentions that they would have. No. And I was able to explain those. I also would go as far as, like, when I wanted to understand somebody, I would, like, go out of my way to, like, Google everything. I would study things. I would watch, like, top psychologists, and because I genuinely wanted, because it, like, I've had a lot of moments, y'all, where, like, I'd return back to that conversation and be like, hey, you know, remember that one time where we were talking about this? I learned something new since then, because you said something, and I was curious about it, and I didn't fully understand it. I feel like you didn't know how to explain that thing. So I found this, and I learned this. Does that Do you relate to that? Does that like is that what you were trying to say? And like I've had many moments like that where it's like, oh my god, yes, that's exactly what I was trying to say. So through that, I had a passion for psychology, right? If I wasn't doing music, I'd be doing psychology, definitely, or working with, you know, saving animals or something. But I don't know if my heart can handle that as much as I love them. I don't know if I can. I probably could maybe, but I don't know. It'd be real rough on my mental health. So I commend the people that can work at, you know, emergency vets and like save hoarder situations and dog meat farms. It's like all I want to do is save them, but I don't even know if I can I think I might puke while doing it and like faint and stuff from like feeling all that evil. You know, it's I'm the type of person, y'all, I know it sounds like crazy, but like when something like Sandy Hook happened, for instance, I needed to be alone for a week because I couldn't stop crying. Because I was getting visions of like Christmas presents that were never going to be opened. So I had to stop watching the news quite a bit ago, y'all, because it's not dramatic, and these people would think that because they can't relate to that, and they only use you know, crocodile tears, and they make a show of it. They make it seem real, right? And they projected that onto me too. I wasn't allowed to have emotions either, so I was being abused, constantly bullied, and even providing proof that like, no, I'm not a compulsive victim. Why would you say something like that? You're literally re-victimizing a person that was victimized, that's being proactive and healing. Why would you say that? Who said, like, why would you think that? It was so nuts. And me, had to stop myself, because if I kept going, like, overreacting, which is a normal reaction, because oh my god, that feels scary. It's like, what? Like, but they know I was strangled almost to death. Why would they say that? Because that triggers PTSD, like like accusing, and they knew what they were doing, and so I had to be like, okay, wait, you have to stay calm, because, and that's what it starts turning into, walking on eggshells. And I would forget. I was like, wait a minute, I'm way more intelligent than every single one of these people. Why is it that I don't need their validation? It wasn't about getting their validation. They were saying that, though. They were projecting that too, that I was like codependent and I was insecure and I needed, while chipping away at my self-esteem. But they, not like they thought they were. I just truly, genuinely cared. But if they ever thought that I was just gonna only rely on their feedback and just forget my intelligence at any point, they were crazy. That would never happen. I'd have to be brain dead. I trust my brain even after waking up in a coma before I ever trusted anyone else's. That's how much I trust my brain, because it's so detail oriented. I'm on the spectrum. Yeah, and because I get visions and stuff like that, and because I can look like 10 layers deeper. You know how some people can imagine chess moves? The best chess players can imagine all the different next 10 chess moves, and I think that's fascinating. It's similar to that, but nobody can relate with that usually, so I can't really have that conversation. But I can see all those next 10 possible chess moves, remember which, and then place together and analyze what makes most sense based on this person's energy that I've never spent time with, but I feel their energy. What would be the agenda here? Okay, what is it that they want from me? Why are they targeting me? Okay. And so I would keep going, and you have to keep digging. It was like, and it was so draining. That's why they call them energy vampires, y'all. Because that's what they do. They think that you're just gonna stop, you're gonna give up, because you have to keep digging and digging and digging, and have the patience to actually get to the finish line where the answers are. But usually people, they can't handle it. They give up. They just, they become avoidant and just like go into denial, or they start doing vices. Like, that's what they wanted from me. They wanted me to, like, lose myself and, like, not trust my own, like, feelings and thoughts. Because, like, I'd feel something, I would very stoically defend myself and try to stay calm, but sometimes I would get emotional because I had PTSD, that they were doing that on purpose. I started realizing something was seriously wrong, okay? And there was nobody fighting for me except for me, and I was fighting for my person who was also undermining us, and because he was being manipulated, but he's also manipulative at his core a bit because of who he's been around. So I have to remember, though, who he is when it's just him and I. So I don't, even though I have every reason to, and he's definitely not innocent, so I don't categorize him in the same level of evil as them, because he's also on the spectrum. And yes, around them, he turns into a person that I would never be friends with, let alone date. But when you remove them from the equation, he starts brightening up again. He has a North Node in Aquarius like me. He's a starseed also. But his light has been stolen from him. And the reason I can say that is because I've had visions. And like I said, his face would go white if he ever sat down with me and I told him the things I saw. I don't think he'd be able to handle it. I think he would actually disassociate, knowing the possibility of me knowing everything that went down behind closed doors, thinking I would never know that there's, like, and they, imagine they felt comfortable and free to talk and be against me and mask. He acted like he didn't care about me because he was being praised for leaving me because I was dangerous. So bravo, oh my God, you're loving yourself, you're setting boundaries, oh my God, we're so proud of you. Like, it was so fucked up, y'all. It was so twisted. So I had to keep in mind what he was going through. I also had to keep in mind that he was, like, conditioned to be over sexualized because he was so emotionally starved of nurturing, because what he perceived as, like, a damsel, sweet, kind ex that he had that just couldn't handle conversations like that. It's too much for her because of what she's been through. No, honey. You know how I know? Because if I had cancer and I was terminal and I saw that you were scared and suffering, it didn't matter. It wouldn't matter. I would be nurturing you, and I'd want to hear about that, what you're feeling. There would never be a time unless I was in excruciating pain where you couldn't come to me and tell me a concern or tell me your unique thought. And it's like he was conditioned to where he thought that me having a difference in opinion and being direct with communication and actually staying and holding space and co-regulating and giving minimal reassurance to each other, him, I literally would instruct him, hey, when I start getting panicked, I'm going to do a really good job and tell you in advance very calmly, hey, I feel some PTSD coming on. Can you please just tell me this? Just say yes or no. Can you come over here and give me a hug and just say, hey, I'm not leaving. We're good. You don't have to fear anything crazy about to happen. And help me calm down. It was below the bare minimum. And the way I knew how abused and emotionally starved he was is that they found out that I asked for that, and they projected so disgustingly, they're fucking rotten, disgusting, these people. They tried to project onto me that I was because they are code. It was everything she said about me was how she is, but she wanted to swap my energy signature with hers by projecting her onto me, and then the stalking that she had been doing for the past few months, little did I know, but I felt it in my energy. That's why she was able to, it was so convincing. It's like she studied me. It's like copycat energy on a sick level, y'all. They don't have identity, so they mirror. And she would say things like, we never argue. Why are you always arguing? I was like, because, sweetheart, you don't have an identity. You're not a real person. You just mirror him and agree with him with everything. You don't have boundaries. Why would you argue? You're an inauthentic person. You're not real. You're just a mirror because you're codependent, and you're just going to agree with him on everything so that he never leaves. You're just gonna convince him that you guys are like the same person, which is a manipulation tactic. It's a form of control too, because then if he believes that by you mirroring him, the second that he tries to deviate from the perspective that you two have already agreed on, little does he know that you are actually in control because you're a psychopath. But you have him believing that you're just the same person. You're like extensions of each other. No. That's not what's happening here. Nobody is the same person. If they're agreeable with you to that level, you're being manipulated. You're being mirrored. Like they're shape-shifting. They're not. If you never disagree and have differences of opinion, that's not a real person. Period. There is no two persons on earth that are exactly the same. And I'd be like, oh, so wait, you don't ever disagree? You think the same on every single possible topic there ever is? You never fight is what you're telling me? Or is it that you avoid doing any emotional work whatsoever, so you agree with him to avoid it on everything because you don't love yourself and you have no boundaries and you literally just don't want him to leave? It shows in your behavior. I mean, you literally sleep with anyone and everyone, and you encourage him to feed a sex addiction because you can't hold space emotionally. And then lecture him on me not loving myself because I do pour into him emotionally and hold space. But that makes me codependent for asking for minimal reassurance to know what's about to happen. Hey, can you just tell me everything's okay? Can you give me a hug? That tells me how sick the starvation diet you had him on was. To have him believe that it was signs of codependency, which he was terrified of, y'all. Terrified to the point he got a restraining order because he believed that I showed up at his parents' house for a hug, literally, guys, a hug, to know what was going on, and that was enough for him to think that I was gonna F with his family. Like, that's how fucked up it was. And so to the point where they had him believing, so they conditioned him to believe that abandoning self and not getting emotional nurturing, not caring, deactivating and not holding space for his needs or encouraging reassurance towards me was normal, and that asking for it was codependent behavior. From a codependent, a full-blown codependent. That's who was giving the advice. Who was trying to swap with my signature. Do you understand how much of my, do you know how many levels go? And you have to like remember all this. At the same time, you have to think fast too, because it's like, he doesn't realize what's going on at all. She turned him into a complete addict because she wanted the relationship and the benefits, y'all, without having to hold space or nurture him. But still wanted the benefits of being married, still wanted a hierarchy, still wanted preferential treatment and the resources that he poured in. And for him to perceive her as a sweetheart and that she was the damsel. So, but I noticed everything. Every time they were on the phone, it was either them talking shit about people. And I know if they gossip about you, they gossip about everybody. And I was like, ooh. So he thinks that's the most important person in his life. That's the person that he hasn't been able to heal. And she was the only one that he would defend. And all his other exes he would say things about. Because he didn't realize that he was being manipulated and fed those narratives to where he believed them. Because if you repeat something enough times, it's a form of brainwashing, y'all. So our occurrences that we'd have, Like, for instance, when I showed up at his house for a hug, and a completely normal reaction, like, I just wanted clarity to know what was going on, and I was sad. I actually was so concerned that I started having asthma and I forgot my inhaler. I got so worked up that